One of the main things that I hear about or get asked, or have to find myself talking about, is really making your film as an actor. And I know a lot of actors know that self-production is important, but let's talk about that a little bit, because what does self-production really mean? Most people think, oh, well, that means you go make your own movie. That's a loaded conversation. So I'll try and keep this video brief. I'm going to start with some overview, and then I'm going to end with some specific tips and tricks for actors who want to create their own content, their own film. Really, actually, content is a bit of a separate thing. Content to me is, videos for online, your own demo reel, things like that. Practicing the craft, practicing sketches, doing things to just kind of get better, which is really important. And I 100% believe you need to do all that before you start jumping in and making feature films or shorts even. Because one thing I will say is it doesn't matter to the audience. If you did it all yourself, it does not matter to the audience if you did it for a super amazing low budget. The only thing that matters to the audience is, do they like it? Is it good? So if you have a bad movie and you say, well, but look, considering what it cost us, nobody cares. It's a failure. So keep that in mind. Nobody cares how hard you worked on it. Nobody cares how difficult it was for you. They watch the movie and then they're going to go either, that was good, or they're going to go, or they're going to go, what the heck was that? All right? Things to consider. Movies don't make money until they do. So a lot of actors, they say, well, I want to make my own film. I have this story I want to tell. This is my story. This is my script. All right, well, just remember, when I talk about starting a production company, and actors really, I believe every actor should have their own production company, people think, oh, movies. That's what I do, right? Like, I make movies. No. I make movies, but that's not the money. That's not the money. I mean, and so for some it is. For a lot of people it is, but even huge producers that I know have side gigs, service production. They do all kinds of other things. Music videos, commercial work, you name it. So there's corporate films. So there is the art, fun stuff, and there's the business stuff. And if you want to learn more about how to leverage both of them, how to create a real ecosystem for yourself, then there's a link in the comments, in the description below, for our Dracis program, which there's a half-hour, I guess, case study video there for you to learn more about that. So please click that link if you're interested in really taking self-production and creating a profitable company for yourself as an artist. You don't have to be an actor. It could be a filmmaker too and stuff, but something that's a little bit more than just like, I want to learn how to make a movie, because that's not going to lock in your stability long term, and it's not going to give you the full creative and financial control that you need over your life, right? To get away from those gatekeepers. Anyway, movies don't really make money. 94% of independent films don't even make their budget back. That's a statistic I read, but I believe it's to be true, because from my own experience, it's very hard to make money on an independent movie. Short films absolutely don't make money. Like, they really don't create an ROI, because there's not really a market for them. And there was one Endeavor QB that, was supposed to be this big short film platform, and they had the whole thing figured out, and then look what happened. They went bankrupt within like 6 months and blew through their entire $2 billion investment, or capital that they had. So whatever, that didn't work. What should you do with films? Why then make movies, right? Well, for artists, and I'm speaking to artists specifically, actors and potentially directors or writers, why should you make your film? As a calling card, as a way to progress, to get a return on investment in another way, to have something to talk about with people at film festivals, to meet new producers, to showcase your talents as a lead actor. If, for instance, you are never getting cast as a lead, put yourself in something as a lead and show people that they're wrong. So to give yourself opportunities. Now, so why? It's very important to know the why, right? Calling card. Two eyes there. Showcase. industry connections, growth, and control over your acting career, over your creative direction. Always have a goal, right? Always have a goal in mind for any film that you create. Because if you just think you have a good idea and you're like, well, we're just going to make the movie because something good will happen, nothing good will happen, right? So let's say you know that you would be the best Abraham Lincoln ever, and nobody's casting you as Abraham Lincoln, even when you dress up and they're just like, I don't see you as Abraham Lincoln, or no opportunities are coming around. I'm just using a really crazy, ridiculous example. Well, then you should think, well, okay, I'm going to show people that I can be Abraham Lincoln, and so you're going to write a screenplay, whether it's a short or a movie, and you're going to put yourself in it as Abraham Lincoln, and then you're going to go to film festivals, hopefully get accepted, and then you can show everybody, look, I have an award-winning film where I played Abraham Lincoln. And so whenever a movie needs Abraham Lincoln, there's a better chance of you getting that. Things like that are the return on investment that you're looking for when you're doing movies. And then over time, potentially they might start selling, they might start making money, but don't go into this thinking you're going to make your first movie and you're going to be a millionaire and you're going to do what Blumhouse is doing now because you're going to make the next Paranormal Activity. Could happen 99.999% of the time. It doesn't, though. So just bank on that and know that you're going to probably be making more films, which leads me to the biggest thing that I see a lot of actors getting wrong is, and filmmakers too, they have this ideas that they want to make into movies, and then what happens is, for whom? Because they think they have a good idea. Like I see this in business too. You have people saying, I have a great idea for a double-sided toothbrush. It's amazing. You could just put it in your mouth and brush the top and the bottom at the same time. Yeah, neat idea. But you haven't validated that there's any resonance there, that that's really what people want. Now, I guess business and film are slightly different, but you have to take into account that there are, in a previous video I spoke about knowing your audience, knowing where you fit, right? Product market fit. So where does your movie fit? Who's going to watch it? That's a good place to start. Why is it good? What makes it good? Well, because it's an interesting story. Well, it's not enough because Sundance Film Festival has 15,000 film submissions every year. So how's yours going to stand out from those 15,000 other ones that are all good movies, good ideas, good everything? So you're going to want to, make sure that, it starts. The most important thing, for a foundation is really just a very solid script. So a lot of people jump to the I want to make a movie phase, and they're still in the idea phase. They don't even have a fleshed out idea yet. They don't even have a fleshed out script. They just have a concept, and they want to make it a feature film. And it could be a feature film, but get the script done first, and then really work hard on that script and make it amazing. And the way you make it amazing is you got to think about, well, what's the value here? What's the entertainment value? What's the fascinating part about this? Because and that's where you start thinking about the audience. You want to know audience, like who is the audience and what are they gonna respond to? What do they like, those people? Like, you can go broader, like families or just mainly, women, or you can go super niche, like men who have men who are trying to be better fathers and just or have some sort of issue with fathers or whatever, and it could be like an empowerment film for men or whatever it is. Like you can go super narrow with your thinking there too, but it has to make sense for somebody, and it has to resonate with somebody, and can't just be like, well, my story's interesting, so I'm going to tell it. All right, well, you need an audience. So solid script, and a solid script is kind of written for an audience. And I will, okay, so now let's, without getting into the weeds too much, think of your film in two different ways. You can have genre or sort of art house, I guess. You still see that? Yeah. So genre would be like action or thriller or horror or comedy. You know, there's sort of these known overall, you know, shells that people kind of know, like, oh, I love action films, I'll watch any action film. Like, I don't even need a star in it, so they can do like a cool low budget action film like El Mariachi, where Robert Rodriguez did it for like $6,000 in Mexico, and that turned into Once Upon a Time in Mexico. Or you could do like a horror film, which is like Paranormal Activity, and they did that pretty cheap, and then it went into, you know, whatever. Or even the first one that was kind of the found footage style, which was the Blair Witch Project. And then you can do like a thriller or a comedy that's sort of, you know, these are genres. They're basically, you're kind of like going for a certain demographic just based on the style of your film. And then there's art house. I mean, I call it art house. There's probably a real name for it, where it's really just about the script, right? It's just a good movie. Like, they're weird films, like Little Miss Sunshine. I mean, you can kind of start thinking, well, is it a comedy or is it? But, you know, it's sometimes people call them like festival films, or you know, I mean, what's The Shape of Water? Like, what was that? Is that it's like a fantasy film, I guess, you know? So you have these things that are not there for, you know, generally genre films, they tend to be for a certain kind of emotion that you're looking for. So you're going there because you want to get excited and have a cool action film. And then the film's all about the action. Like, the better the action, the better the film's going to be. It's not really as much about the story. If you work in a good story, all the better. You know, like Terminator is a great example of like a sci-fi action film that has a really simple but fun story. Thrillers, you know, you're there to get like creeped out and scared, and tension and suspense. Like, it's all about that. And then horrors, of course, like horror, you know, you're there to be terrified. Comedy, you want to laugh, right? And the other type of film, like, it's probably more character driven. It's more drama. Like, it's more about you know, the journey, the story, and just a good story. And any story could be a good story if it's told well, in my opinion, but it has to be told well. And this is where people sort of don't think beyond their own minds. They're like, well, I have an interesting story and it needs to be told. But how you tell that story is very important. And the execution of it is really important. And that requires a lot of skill and understanding and, you know, no, expertise in a way, but also just a really solid vision and a belief in yourself. So when you're doing a film as an actor, genre, you know, again, having goals for everything. Where did I write goals? It's on here somewhere. Having goals for everything, always have a goal. With genre, like they're usually easier to sell, right? So you can probably make them a little cheaper. And if it's done well, you can probably sell it to a TV network or a streamer for a fairly reasonable amount. And it's easier to make your money back, because if you just make a $15,000 horror film and you can actually sell it for $50,000, then you made some money. Like our art house or dramas and stuff, they're harder to sell because, you know, streamers and especially, you know, conventional TV channels and you know, distribution methods for films, like they're gonna want to know like what audience this is for and like who's gonna buy this. And unless with an art house film you've had very substantial festival success like Moonlight or you know, Room, and not The Room like Tommy Wiseau's The Room, but like the, you know, Room and you know, all those kinds, or Precious and those kinds of sort of dramas, unless you've had a lot of success with them in you know, awards, they're not very interesting to sales reps. Okay, so they're hard to market and sell. So this is why you need to look at them, in terms of your goal. Like, is it for career or money, right? I would say art house almost always, it's for career. And I would even say that this should always just be for career, because there's better ways to make money, guys. Like I said, you want to learn how to make money with production, watch the Drace's case study in the link below. But when you're making your movie, don't think about the money. Do not make movies for money. Just get that out of your head. They are career advancement tools. And you're probably going to lose the money the first time, the second time, and you might break even. You might sell your film. You might be able to. I mean, we've been surprised with movies in the past, both ways. We've been pleasantly surprised with films that we weren't sure were going to make it, and they've had theatrical release. And then we've had the opposite happen, where we were sure this was going to be the next big thing, and it really stagnated and stalled, and we lost hundreds of thousands of dollars. So both of those can happen. So what am I getting at here? I'm kind of losing myself in my rant, but let me see here in my notes. Always have a goal. Genres could be easier to sell. Art house. It's about an incredible story. So now either one, it's just the script has to be good. Like, first of all, there's so many ideas being pitched, so the script has to be good. So put all of your focus there and really believe in it. And let me see here. And again, practice makes perfect. So if we, move this out of the way here for a second, and, if you want to make a movie, feature, 90 minutes, right? This is a big feat. And you can always only have time. Then there's time, there's money, and there's quality. So when an actor comes around and say, I want to make a movie, I want to make it quickly, I want to make it cheap, and I want to make it high quality. Not going to work. One of these is going to have to give. All right? If you want to make it quickly and have a high quality, you need to put in more money. If you want to make it cheaply and you want the quality to be high, it's going to take you longer, because you're going to have to learn a lot of the skills yourself, and you're going to have to do a lot of the stuff yourself, right? If you want to do it quickly and you want and cheap, the quality is going to suffer. Like, you can basically pick two of these. All right. So keep that in mind when you're working on your short, your feature, and all that stuff. You have to be realistic about it. It's a big project, and that's why practicing on service productions, on commercial work, on music videos, on things like that, getting your team together, getting your gears greased, getting paid to actually produce and hone that craft is a wonderful, wonderful way of building your skill set and your team and your industry immersion and your resources to then reinvest and start making short films, and then take those short films, leverage them for your own acting career as character pieces, as character showcases, high quality short films. Those will get better and better over time, and then eventually start making making sort of lower budget independent feature films on your own with money that you reinvest, or raising money, but now that you have the background, the quality of production level, you've done a few shorts, you've been in a few festivals, it's going to be easier for you to also raise the money to make your movie, right? So what's the point of this whole video? Don't start with the big project. This is a journey, right? It's going to take you time to build the community around you, the understanding of what you're doing. So many people come into LA with 500 grand and they're like, I'm going to be a big producer, and they blow it all. The film fails and they go home. Don't be that person. Don't be unrealistic about your own abilities and stuff. Like, develop a strategy. It's part of what we help people do in the Drace's program. It's about strategy. It's about the long-term play. It's about doing these things, but doing them right at the right time, with the right people, with the right mentorship and advice and guidance, so that you don't get shafted, you don't get ripped off, you don't owe hundreds of thousands of dollars suddenly because a loophole in the contract made you liable for the film's investment and stuff. Like, do this right and have a goal, And if it's, you should be pushing your own self as an actor forward, but you can do that with shorter pieces to build your demo reel, and that can, start building your production team and your expertise. And you should always be challenging yourself to do better and better quality, so that you can arrive at the point where you're making features for yourself. And if you do choose to make a feature film your first project right out the gate, go for it, but expect a lot. You need a lot of help. You're going to need a lot of help, and you're going to need people you trust around you who can advise you, because things go south in a hurry with features. So let's talk about some practical advice here, real quick, for making your own films as actors, again, as storytellers. 1, make sure the script is great and there's something new about it. So, great script and new. What's different about your script? What's different about your story? All right? Don't just make the same old, same old. There has to be something about it that's different. And I'm not going to get too far into that because that's up to you to figure out. 2, when you're making movies specifically for you as an actor, make them about the character and get people to root for that character, right? Make the plot simple and make it about the character, right? Because you're an actor and you want to get more work as an actor. So if people are rooting for the lead, they're going to see you as a lead. And that's what you want, right? 3, make it cheap and around things that you have access to, right? To create added value. Cheap and leverage access or current resources. So if you have an uncle who owns a barn, and you have a friend who has a boat, figure out a movie that you can make that's character driven around a barn and a boat, right? Because those are things that you would normally have to pay a lot of money for, and you don't have to, so you can leverage your current resources. So think about building your script around what's easily accessible to you, so that you can make it cheap, so that you can pull favors that don't require, craziness. All right. Now, also 4, make it in a style that fits your budget. Okay. Paranormal Activity would not have been doable for the budget that they made it for if the style was like your conventional horror film. It's too much lighting involved. The whole idea of this found footage thing was a brilliant example of how the style can become part of the low budget filmmaking process. Blair Witch Project, again, that's what an easy film to make, really. It's about the concept. The style actually enhances the film. Blair Witch Project would have not worked if that self-cam sort of thing wouldn't have been a part of it. That was the whole idea. So make the level of film that you can afford. Don't try to make Star Wars for 10 grand. It's not going to work. Don't try all these cheesy effects because you can do them. Your buddy knows After Effects so they can make a house look like it's on fire, because it's not going to look right. So don't light a house on fire unless you can light a house on fire or do it right. So right within your means and create the style around it that works. If you're in an office and you have an idea for a comedy, like that office, The Office, that show, that style, that documentary style, it's a little more forgiving. Your shots don't have to be perfect. You lean into it. You create that style as a mechanism to tell your story, and it actually adds authenticity to it because it's written that way. But if you shot The Holiday with or you shot The Hangover in the style of The Office, That would just look cheap and wouldn't work. Okay, so it doesn't fit the story. So style needs to fit your budget and be realistic about it. Leverage. Leverage mentorship, guidance, and a reliable team. Movies are not single-player games. Don't try to do it yourself. Again, Dracis is perfect for that. For those of you who do want to join our community and have ongoing mentorship and learn more about how to actually navigate and produce and all that stuff. But if it's not me, find a mentor who is going to give you the time of day, who is going to be there for you regularly and help you with actionable steps throughout the process and review things with you and check your team for you, because there are so many places that you can go wrong. And if you're just relying on other people for this information, you're just at the mercy of their decisions and you take their word for it, and bad things happen when you have to take people's word and you don't actually know yourself. So educate yourself, leverage mentorship, and try to do it right the first time. Okay, 6, don't make it for you. Okay? Don't be selfish with your film. Who are you making the movie for? Your audience. Okay? Your audience, not you. Nobody wants to hear your story. They want to be taken on an adventure. They want to be taken through an emotional journey. This isn't your turn. This isn't your turn to stand up on a soapbox and yell, your political views and your life story to the public. It has to resonate with audience members who don't know you, and they have to care enough about you. Just like you don't really, go to movies to see, people just talking about themselves. You want to, be involved in the story, and you want it to resonate. So what you need to do is you need to find your voice, put it in a story that has a broad application for your audience that will resonate and that's structured well, and take creative liberties to format it properly so that it will do what it needs to do and take the audience on a ride. And don't make it agenda driven. You can have, I'll give you a quick example. Like we did a piece about a terrible thing that happened. American Hate was a short film. It did really well. But the first script of that, when it was brought to my attention, was very a political sort of a social justice effort, right? And the problem with that is it's polarizing in a way where you end up preaching to the choir by just creating a piece of content that just like talks about regulations under a certain presidency. You don't want that. You want to spark conversation. You want to evoke thought on both sides. And how do you do that? You just tell a good story. You tell a story that happened. And you don't start skewing it too much, but you let people, through dialogue and through events that happen in that story, understand that they can question their views, they can entertain conversation, they should think about things maybe because they haven't thought of something from this perspective and now they're seeing it from that perspective. You want to open people's minds if you are going to have some sort of an agenda or opinion in it. Do not preach. Do not dictate. Do not make this about you. Make it about the audience. Entertain them first and foremost. And if you're going to educate them, do it in a way where they feel like they are reaching a conclusion on their own. It is a thought process a pattern that you're beginning in their minds, not you need to think this way because this is just wrong. Okay? Very important. And 7, keep it simple. I always say if the idea doesn't fit on a piece of toilet paper, it's not a good idea. I'm guilty of this. I hear plots and elaborate, and then this happens and that happens. Then if you need to explain it for that long, it's not a great movie. So think about this. Concepts, right? Greatest movies that we know, or just really good films, right? Let's say Inception's a great example. Inception's a very complex film, but the idea of it is It's playing with the idea that you can enter somebody's dream and plant a thought there to make them make decisions on their own. It's a fun thing to play with. Terminator, we mentioned earlier. A robot comes back from the future to kill the only person that could take down the robot, or the system that, made the robot. So the best ideas are pretty simple. And they don't have to be, and again, character-driven things, things like, well, I don't want to list too many examples, but make it about something simple. Keep it character-focused for you as an actor, right? So that you can keep showcasing yourself. Don't have too many twists and turns and try to make some intelligent film. Just keep it very simple. Keep it focused. Make it good. Make it cheap. Leverage your things that you have access to. Fit the style to your budget, and leverage mentorship. And shameless plug. Join Dracis already. Like, seriously, what are you waiting for? You've been watching these videos for how long now, and you're still on the fence? Like, come on. Great community of actors and filmmakers who are building financial and creative independence right now. This is just a fraction of what's in that program. This isn't really in the program. It's on YouTube. Anyway, keep coming back for free info if you want. I hope this helps you think about making your movie. Godspeed. Good luck. If you don't choose me as your mentor, I wish you all the best, and see you on the next one.